Okay. Good evening, everybody. So, I hope you thought about the teachings from last night. Maybe you even had the opportunity to use them today. You know, with all these uncooperative people that you meet all the time, right? Yeah. So, you know, these teachings that we're going through with Shantideva are so practical and really applicable to our daily lives. So we're going to start the session out today with doing the recitations like usual. Then we'll have a little bit of silent meditation, watching the breath so that we can calm our minds down. And then we'll have the talk and then Q&A. Okay, so when we do the recitations, we're not saying the prayers into empty space, but really visualizing the Buddha made of brilliant golden light in the space in front of us, and the Buddha surrounded by all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then we're surrounded by all the sentient beings, and we're leading them in taking refuge and in generating the four immeasurables and saying the seven-limb prayer and so forth. Okay, so like I was saying last night, we can, when we imagine all sentient beings around us, we can have our mother, imagine our mother on our left, our father on our right, all the people we don't like right in front of us. You know, they're facing the Buddha just like we are, yeah, but we've got to, you know, include them and come to terms with our feelings about them. But it's very helpful to think of leading, you know, all these people too in taking refuge and generating bodhicitta and so on. Yeah, instead of just, you know, greeting them with, may you go to hell, you know, please come and join me in taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha so you don't go to hell. Yeah, and so, you know, we have to transform our minds in that way. Okay? There is one cushion up here, if you'd like to sit here. There's another one up here. Okay, so lower your eyes and imagine the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you. And yourself surrounded by all the sentient beings. And then we'll do the prayers.
I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to the Great Awakening. So the Buddha in the space in front of you emanates countless replicas of himself that come to the crown of your head and the heads of all the sentient beings around you. And as we recite the Buddha's mantra 7 times, imagine brilliant light coming from the Buddha above the crown of your head, flowing down through your body and the bodies of all sentient beings, giving us all the realizations of the stages of the path. Tayata Om Muni Muni Maha Muniye Soha. 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 Tayata Om Muni Muni Maha Muniye Soha.
Then become aware of your breath, letting your breathing be very natural. Don't force it or deep breathe. Place your attention either at your belly and watch the rise and fall of the belly as you inhale and exhale, or place your attention at the upper lip and the nostrils and feel the sensation of the air as it passes there as you breathe in and out. If you get distracted, just notice the distraction. Don't make a story about it. And then bring your attention back home to the breath. So we'll have a few minutes to do this. And in keeping the mind on one object, in this case the breath, then the mind settles down. And then let's cultivate our motivation. And contemplate for a moment how harmful anger is, not only to the people we get angry at, but also to ourselves. Because anger destroys our merit, destroys our good karma, makes our mind terribly unhappy, and obscures our mind from gaining realizations of the path to full awakening. So seeing the disadvantages of anger, let's have a strong determination to overcome it. And to do that, we have to learn the Buddha's teachings that show us how to counteract our anger. And so for the long-term goal of becoming a fully awakened Buddha, so we can benefit all sentient beings most effectively, then we're going to listen to the teachings from Shantideva on how to work with our anger. So hold that in your mind as you're long-term motivation for being here this evening. Okay. So, yesterday, we got up to what? 97, right? We finished 97. So, in 97, the Shantideva really made the conclusion of what he was talking about before when he said, therefore, the happiness that arises from thinking I am being praised is invalid. It is only the behavior of a child. Do we really believe that? Or part of our mind says, yeah, but being praised is so nice. Yeah, I want more praise. And I could use some more appreciation too, and some more acknowledgement of my contribution. And a little bit of extra love wouldn't be objectionable either. Right? We're always feeling I need something from the outside. And that puts us in a difficult situation because we can't always control the factors, the external factors, so that we will get what we want from outside. So that puts us in a bind. And that's why Dharma practice is so important, because Dharma practice is helping us learn to deal with our own mind so that we aren't so dependent on external people, external situations. So that by transforming our own mind, then whoever we're with, wherever we go, we can be happy. Which would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah? So that's why we got to practice. Then 98, praise and so forth distract me and also undermine my disillusionment with cyclic existence. I start to envy those who have good qualities, and all the very best is destroyed. So this verse is talking about some of the defects of anger. Okay? So first of all, not the defects of anger, the defects of being attached to praise and therefore getting angry when we don't get the praise, okay? So praise and so forth, meaning appreciation, acknowledgement, love, glory, reputation, all those kind of things. They distract us from the Dharma because instead of paying attention to the Dharma, we're busy planning how we can impress other people. Because if we can impress them in the right way, if we can manipulate them and make them think that we're really fantastic, then we'll get the praise and appreciation and so on that we want. But it completely distracts us from doing any Dharma practice, doesn't it? Yeah, because we're busy thinking, let's see, how can I act so I can get so-and-so to like me? We do that a lot, don't we? Yeah. I don't know who I am, but I'm going to try and act in a way that I think other people will like me if I act that way. Yeah, it gets very confusing. It gets crazy-making. Okay, so that's one default of this attachment to praise. Second of all, it undermines our disillusionment with cyclic existence because when we have praise, then we get hooked. You know, praise is like glittering things, and we get hooked by it. We want it, we crave it, and then we stop thinking of the meaning of samsara, the meaning of cyclic existence, and how there's no happiness to be had in it, and instead we start clutching and grasping at, you know, this little fleeting happiness that we have from getting praised. Another defect of cyclic existence is defect of praise, attachment to praise, is we start to envy those who have good qualities. So if everything is based on, I want praise, I want to be noticed, I want acknowledgement, I want love, I want appreciation, then when we look around and we see other people who are getting it, and we don't think we're getting enough of it, then we get really jealous of them. Don't we? Yeah? And then our mind is completely unhappy because everybody we look at, sometimes even our best friends, we get jealous of. And then, you know, really we're destroying our own happiness. Okay, and then he says, and all the very best is destroyed. Yeah, because we really waste our time and get, you know, really get distracted. And, like I told you yesterday, my story with attachment to praise, yeah, when you get praised, it makes it really hard to go to the bathroom when you need to. So that's a big disadvantage, isn't it? Okay, then verse 99. Therefore, aren't those who are closely involved in destroying my praise and the like also involved in protecting me from falling into the unfortunate realms? Okay, so if attachment to praise is going to cause us to fall into lower rebirths because we start competing with other people, we speak poorly of the people who we're competing with, you know, we get jealous of people, we puff ourselves up, we might lie, you know, about our qualities to get praised and so on. So motivated by that attachment, we create a lot of negative karma, which will ripen in us having a rebirth in one of the unfortunate realms. So the people who destroy our praise, yeah, aren't they actually helping us to overcome the attachment to the praise and thus to overcome creating the cause for these lower rebirths? Yeah, do you see the logic that he's using? Yeah, so this person who comes up and looks at us and says, you're such a jerk. Yeah, where did you come from? What planet? You're so unbelievably stupid. That person is preventing us from having a lower rebirth because they're destroying the praise, you know, that we're attached to and making us overcome that attachment. And by overcoming it, then we stop creating all this negative karma for lower rebirth. Yeah? So when your boss comes in and starts yelling and screaming at you, you need to go, thank you so much. Yeah? You're saving me from being born in hell. Thank you very much. Because they're destroying our attachment to praise. They're also helping us to purify our negative karma. Yeah? Meanwhile, they're creating cause to be born in an unfortunate rebirth because they're yelling and screaming at us. So who's getting, when we get criticized, when other people get mad at us and blame us, who's getting the best deal from it? Us or the other person? We are, aren't we? Yeah, when you look at it from the viewpoint of the Dharma and of, how karma plays out, then we're really getting the best deal when other people praise us. Think about it. Think about it. Yeah? Sometimes when I encourage people to do a meditation on the kindness of others, it's easy to think of the kindness of our friends and relatives, and a little bit harder, but also doable to think of the kindness of strangers. But it's really the people who are our enemies, the people who destroy our happiness, who are very, very kind to us. Yeah, by helping our negative karma ripen, so we don't have to experience it later, destroying our praise so that we don't get so attached to it. Yeah? So we really should thank all those people. So I told you yesterday that I got familiar with this chapter because I was living in Italy and I was the disciplinarian of the macho Italian monks. So, yeah, they called me a few names. One of them told me I was the worst thing that ever came to the Dharma Center. Yeah, he said, you're the worst person who ever came to the Dharma Center. I'm going to call our teacher tonight to tell him that you are just ruining this place. That's what he said. So, anyway, well, maybe I should tell you the whole story. Oh, it was really too much, I would be working on a project and they would take it off my desk and not give it back to me. Because you see, they were all so nasty and mean and inconsiderate to sweet, angelic little me, who never did anything wrong. So I was going crazy from all of this, and I wrote my teacher a letter, and I said, please, Lama, can I leave? And he said, oh, we'll talk about it, dear. I'll be there in 6 months. So finally Lama came. I got permission to leave. And I wound up, after a few other little things, going back to Kopan in Nepal. And I was having tea with Zopa Rinpoche. And Rinpoche, he knew about the situation at the Italian Dharma Center. And he asked me, who was kinder to you, the Buddha, or I'll call this one particular monk who was, I'll call him Sam, So Rinpoche said, who's kinder to you, the Buddha or Sam? What kind of question is that? So I said, Rinpoche, definitely the Buddha is kinder to me. The Buddha leads me to enlightenment. And Rinpoche looked at me like, still haven't gotten it yet, kid, have you? And then he proceeded to explain to me how Sam was kinder to me than all the Buddhas. What? This beep, beep, beep person is kinder to me than all the Buddhas? Yeah. And Rinpoche explained, yes, well, if you are going to become a Buddha, one, you need to complete the path of the 6 perfections, the 6 far-reaching practices. And fortitude is one of them. You can't become a Buddha without fortitude. And in order to develop fortitude, you have to have people who make you unhappy. You can't practice fortitude with the people who are kind with you. You need the people who are mean to you. Yeah. So you can't practice fortitude with the Buddha, in which case, you'll never develop the perfection of fortitude and you'll never become a Buddha. So he said, you really need Sam. If you're going to get enlightened, you need Sam. This was not what I wanted to hear. I wanted some sympathy. I wanted Rinpoche to say, oh yes, I know Sam is really very difficult. Many people have problems with him, but you did so well staying there, trying to work things out. I'm really proud of you. You're a much better disciple than Sam is. But that's not what Rinpoche said to me. That's what I wanted to hear, but that's not what he said. Yeah? So he said Sam is kinder than the Buddha. So I really had to chew on that one for a while, believe me. Yeah? But you can see it's true. It's true that if we're really serious about practicing the Dharma, we need people who disturb our happiness. And, they tell the story of Lama Atisha. He was one of the great Indian sages who came to Tibet. And apparently he brought with him his cook, who had a very nasty, uncooperative disposition. And, really irritated everybody around. So the Tibetans said to Atisha after a while, please, why don't you send your cook back to India and we'll cook for you? Yeah. And Lama Atisha said, oh, but no, I need my cook to be here. So I need him to practice in order to practice fortitude. So you all need your boss. And you all need those colleagues who drive you crazy. Yeah. So you need to go into work tomorrow morning and say to your boss, thank you so much. And to all those colleagues, thank you so much. Yeah. Do you think you can do that? Yeah. Okay, so verse 100. I who am striving for freedom do not need to be bound by material gain and honor. So why should I be angry with those who free me from this bondage? Okay, so, we who are striving for freedom, for liberation from cyclic existence, for nirvana, we don't need material gain and honor in order to attain nirvana, in order to attain full awakening. Yeah, we don't need those at all. You don't buy your way into nirvana. You don't get voted in a popularity contest into nirvana. You attain nirvana by transforming the mind. And to do that, we need to be able to concentrate the mind. And in order to concentrate, we need to stop being so distracted by craving material possessions, craving honor and respect and reputation. Okay? So we don't need to be bound by material gain or honor because we're seeking something that goes beyond that. We're seeking a kind of bliss and joy that is much greater than, when somebody gives you some material possession or somebody praises you. So if that's the case, then why should we be angry with people who free us from that bondage by taking our material things, by criticizing us, by getting in our way from attaining possessions and honor and respect? If we don't need possessions and honor, Why should we get upset when people take them away from us? Yeah, by their words, their actions. Why should we be upset? Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? You know, if we're really committed to the path, we really want to attain nirvana, then clearly we have to overcome our attachment to respect, to possessions. So the person who steals our stuff, who criticizes us, is helping us to do that. So in that way, they're being very kind with us. So why in the world should we get angry and criticize them? They're actually helpers on the path. It's true, isn't it? Yeah? Whereas the person who comes up to us, who says, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so talented, and you're so good looking, and you're rich, but I'm not attached to that, but it doesn't hurt that you have money. But you're really so wonderful. That person, you know, evokes our attachment and keeps us bound in cyclic existence. In addition, you know, we are so foolish that if somebody praises us with the motivation to deceive us so that they can get something out of us, we fall for it, don't we? Yeah, anybody who praises me, I'm their friend. Yeah? You want to manipulate me? All you'd have to do is praise me. And then I love you and I'll do whatever you want. Even if you manipulate me and get me involved in all sorts of non-virtuous things. But I'm so foolish that a good friend who comes and says, Chodren, look out, you know, you're not making very wise decisions. That person I get mad at and say, leave me alone and stop criticizing me. But the person who flatters me, I make 3 prostrations to them, you know? I'm so gullible. Yeah? Are you like that? Little bit, maybe? Okay? So it's like we have everything completely upside down. Very upside down. 101. Those who wish to cause me suffering are like Buddhas bestowing waves of blessing. As they open the door for my not going to an unfortunate realm, why should I be angry with them? Okay? So all those people who wish to cause us suffering are like Buddhas bestowing waves of blessing on us. Because they're helping us to overcome our attachment to possessions, reputation, praise, and so on. Yeah? So when we see those people that we can't stand, we should imagine them to be like Buddhas with waves of blessing, emanating light, you know, that's absorbing into us, blessing our mind. Yeah? True, isn't it? Okay, so because they open the door for our not going to an unfortunate rebirth, you know, as they're helping us in that way, why should we be angry at them? We should thank them. Okay? So, you know, this is a thought training technique to help us overcome our anger. Yeah. It doesn't mean literally you go and bow to those people, you know, and it doesn't mean you let them continue to harm you, but it means that instead of being angry at what they're doing, you can transform the situation so that it becomes a real aid to you on the path to full awakening. Yeah. So it's this whole idea of transforming situations. And if we can do that well, then any situation we find ourselves in can be part of our Dharma practice. Okay, so verse 102 says, and here's our mind that says, but. So our mind says, but what if somebody should obstruct my gaining merit? Yeah, here's this beep person who's obstructing my gaining merit. I should be mad at them. I should go and punch them in the nose so that they'll get out of the way so I can create some good karma. Yeah, is that reasonable? Are you going to create some good karma by punching them in the nose? Okay. So Shantideva replies, with them too it is incorrect to be angry, for since there is no fortitude similar to patience, surely I should put it into practice. So since practicing fortitude is such a profound practice and nothing else really compares to it, yeah, then I need to practice it. And again, this person is helping me to practice it. So why be angry? Yeah. Then 103. If due to my own failings I am not patient with this enemy, then it is only I who am preventing myself from practicing this cause for gaining merit. Okay, so if I'm weak-minded, yeah, and here's this person who's criticizing me, who's ruining my reputation, who's talking bad about me behind my back, yeah, if I'm weak-minded and instead of practicing fortitude with this person, I get upset and I start retaliating, then it's only me who is preventing me from practicing, from doing Dharma practice that creates merit. And it's only me making me create all sorts of, destructive karma. So why am I blaming the other person? Yeah. This is what I used to do when I was in Italy. It was like, it's all his fault. It's all his fault, all his fault, all his fault. Because I didn't realize that I was with this incredible group of people who were helping me on the path. And instead, I thought they were my enemies who were preventing me from creating virtue, when in fact they were giving me the opportunity to do so, and I was so foolish that I missed the opportunity. 104. If without it something does not occur, and if with it it does come to be, then since this enemy would be the cause of fortitude, how can I say that the enemy prevents it? Okay, so if without it, in the first line, that it means the enemy, and then something refers to fortitude. So if without the enemy, fortitude does not occur, yeah, because we need the enemy in order to generate fortitude. And if with the enemy, fortitude does come to be, then since this enemy would be the cause of my practice of fortitude, how can I say that this enemy is preventing my practice of fortitude? They're not. Yeah, they're the cause of my practice. Okay, do you see what he's getting at here? And so he says in 105, a beggar is not an obstacle to generosity when I am giving something away. And I cannot say that those who give ordination are an obstacle to becoming ordained. Okay. There are indeed many beggars in this world, but scarce are those who inflict harm. For if I have not injured others, few beings will cause me harm. Okay? So if you want to practice generosity, you need a beggar. Yeah? They say that for the great bodhisattvas, when they hear somebody say, give me, that their minds fill with delight because they're going to have the opportunity to give something. Yeah? When I hear give me, I think, oh God. What a nuisance. Yeah? But bodhisattvas go, wow, I have the opportunity to practice. I can be generous. This is fantastic. Okay, so here you see the difference between a bodhisattva and an ordinary being. It becomes very clear. Okay, so beggars aren't obstacles to generosity because we want to give things away. And if we want to take ordination, the people who give us the ordination are not an obstacle to being ordained. Okay, so he's saying, why then are people who disturb us an obstacle to our creating fortitude and creating merit? Yeah, they aren't. We need them. Okay, so there are many beggars in this world, but there aren't so many people that create harm, that harm us. Now sometimes we may think, oh no, but there's a lot of people who harm me, this and this one, this one, this one, this one. And we take out, because we've stored away every small or large harm we've ever received in our memory bank. Yeah, we can't remember the Dharma teachings for anything. Yeah, tomorrow you can't remember anything you heard tonight. But you do remember what so-and-so did to you 5 years ago, what this other person did 10 years ago. When people harm us, we remember it. We have our little, internal memory bank here. We don't even need to write ourselves notes, Everything else we need to, make a list to make sure we do it and have reminders and, put ding-dongs on our phone, to remind us to do things. For our enemies and the harms we received, we don't need to be reminded. We have great memory, okay? Yeah? And so we store all those things up, every harm we gave, because the next time we have a fight with that person, especially if it's someone in our family, especially if it's someone we love, then we can pull all that out. Yeah, and when they start, blaming us for something, we can pull everything out that they've done since we had the last fight. And you did this, and you did that, and then you did this, and you didn't do that, and you did this, and that, and that, and that. Yeah? Right? Yeah? Very good memory. Yeah. And, sometimes we get shy, we're very shy. We don't want to, even ask a question in front of other people in Dharma class. But when we're mad, we're not shy. We yell and scream and the whole world hears. Yeah? And we don't care beans about it. But to say something kind in front of a group of people, oh, I can't do it. We're really foolish, aren't we? Okay. So the people who harm us are actually kind of scarce. And one thing that I think about, especially when people criticize me, especially when I receive criticism, is I think this is a result of my creation of negative karma. In specific, I've criticized other people, so now I'm getting criticized. And then I stop and think, yeah, compared to the number of times I criticize other people, do I get criticized equally or not? Okay, think about it. Think about how often you criticize other people and how often you get criticized. Which happens more? Did any of you criticize anybody today? Maybe I should say, did any of you not criticize somebody today? Yeah. If you're like me, you know, I criticize multiple people every day. But if I look, I don't get criticized every day. Yeah. I criticize many people every day, but I don't get criticized every day. So actually, it isn't fair. I should get criticized more. So you all have a piece of paper. You can give me some criticism. And then I'll go in the room and cry. Okay. For if I have not injured others, few beings would cause me harm. So when others injure us, it's simply because we've injured other people before. If it wasn't for us harming others, we would not get harmed. So when people harm us, when people criticize us, yeah, it's senseless to blame them because it's happening due to our having criticized them. So you remember when you were little and you fought with your siblings, and then when your parents would come and say, okay, kids, stop fighting, what did you do? He started it. Yeah. Did you say that? Yeah. That's what we American kids do. He started it. It's not my fault. He started it. But according to karma, we started it. Why am I getting criticized? Because I criticized other people. Why is my reputation getting dismantled? Because I harmed other people's reputation. Yeah. So I can't say he started it. My self-centered mind started it. My own uncontrolled mind started it. 107. Therefore, just like treasure appearing in my house, without any effort on my part to obtain it, I should be happy to have enemies, for they assist me in my conduct of awakening. Yeah? So an enemy is like a treasure appearing in our house without us having to exert any effort to get this treasure. Yeah. It's like you open the door and there's $1 million there and you didn't have to do anything to get it. Yeah. That's what he's saying the enemy is like. Okay. So we should be happy to have enemies because they assist us in our practice, in our practicing the deeds for awakening. So just as bodhisattvas, when they hear somebody say, give me, feel so joyful, when we hear somebody say, I hate your rotten guts, we should just feel blissful through and through. Yeah, it sounds absurd, but it's really true, you know? And it sounds absurd to our mind because we're so stuck in cyclic existence. But Dharma is the complete opposite of cyclic existence. So of course, you know, the thing that makes least sense to us is actually what makes most sense to us. Yeah? And 108, because I am able to practice patience with them, or practice fortitude with them, they are worthy of being given the very first fruits of my fortitude, for in this way they are the cause of it. Yeah? So these people are helping us so much to attain awakening. So when we attain awakening, we should especially help them, because they were the causes of our attaining awakening. Yeah? And you can see this even in the Buddha's life. You know, after the Buddha attained awakening, he was thinking who to teach, and he thought about his two previous teachers, but they had both passed away. And then he thought about his 5 companions who he was doing ascetic practices with for 6 years. But remember, when the Buddha, when he, decided that ascetic practices didn't lead to full awakening, he left, that situation, and his 5 companions were so mad at him. And we're saying, you just chickened out, you have no courage, you're such a softy. Yeah? And so that were their parting words to him were insults. And yet the Buddha went, after attaining awakening, to teach those 5 people first. Yeah? So it's really saying, let's be grateful for those enemies and repay their kindness. But then our mind says, but why should my enemy be venerated who has no intention for me to practice fortitude? Like, hey, why should I venerate this guy? Because he doesn't want to help me. He's not thinking, oh, I want to help her gain enlightenment by practicing fortitude. So he doesn't have a good motivation towards me, so why should I venerate him? Okay, the answer? Then why venerate the sacred Dharma? It too has no intention, but is a fit cause for practice. So the Dharma, the last 2 noble truths, true cessations, true paths, those have no intention. Yeah? They have no intention to benefit me. The Dharma just is. Okay? But still, it's a fit cause for practice without an intention to benefit me. So why do I, in order to consider somebody beneficial, why do they need to have an intention to benefit me? The Dharma benefits me without having the intention to. Yeah, so, if people don't have the intention to help me, that doesn't disqualify them from being objects of my respect, objects of my appreciation. Then verse 101. Now we have another mind that says, but, surely my enemies are not to be venerated because they intend to cause me harm. So not only do they not intend to help me, but they intend to harm me, so I should harm them back. And Shantideva says, then how could fortitude be practiced if, like doctors, people always strove to do me good? Okay? So if, like doctors or friends, people were always striving to benefit me, how in the world could I cultivate fortitude? And without fortitude, there's no way to become a Buddha. Okay? So, my mind is making all these excuses why I should not venerate or even appreciate somebody who harms me. And Shantideva shoots them down, one after the other, Okay? And then verse 111, Thus, since patient acceptance is produced in dependence upon one with a very hateful mind, that person should be worthy of veneration, just like the sacred Dharma, because they are a cause of fortitude. Okay, so just like patient acceptance or fortitude is produced in dependence upon an enemy or somebody who has a really nasty motivation towards me, yeah, I should venerate and respect that person just like I venerate and respect the sacred Dharma, because they're a cause for my fortitude, they're a cause for my awakening. Okay. So let's pause here and see if you have any questions so far. Okay, I'll start with some of the written ones then. So what is meant by since beginningless time? How real is time? And if it's beginningless, then is there an end? How does existence come about when there is no beginning and end? Okay, so time is real. You know, we exist within time, but time is also something that exists by being merely labeled, by being merely designated. Since beginningless time means, you know, when we talk about we've been in cyclic existence from beginningless time, it means that time is beginningless because, you know, everything arose due to a cause. You know, nothing can come into existence without the cause for that thing to arise. So each moment of whatever it is, like each moment of our mind, arose because of a previous moment of mind, which arose because of a previous moment and a previous moment. And so you can trace things back, and they're beginningless in the sense that there was no beginning. You're not going to find a beginning point. Now, somebody could say, but there's got to be a beginning. Yeah? If you went into your math class and your math teacher is, you know, the number line with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 this way, and 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. If you said to your math teacher, but there's got to be a beginning to the number line or an end to the number line, what's your teacher going to say? Yeah, good luck. Yeah, you can want to have a beginning to the number line all you want to, but you're not going to be able to find one. And the thing is, you know, that actually when we look at, for example, the continuity of our consciousness, if there were a beginning, then actually consciousness could not be produced. Because when we have the idea of like the beginning of the world or the beginning of consciousness, yeah, everything that exists and functions and changes arises due to cause, you know, many causes. So if you're pointing an initial moment, let's say of mind or of matter, whatever it is, an initial moment, then what caused that moment? If you say that it had no cause, then it couldn't exist, because things can't exist without the causes that produce them. If you say that they had a cause before them, then that moment was not the beginning. If you say that some creator caused it, then again, there was no beginning. And then you have the whole thing of who created the creator. then why did the Creator create? And if he created, why didn't he do a better job? True, isn't it? I mean, if you were going to create the world, wouldn't you do a better job than creating war and starvation and anger and disharmony? Yeah? Why create that? Okay? So, in terms of the continuity of consciousness, consciousness is just clarity and awareness, the ability to reflect objects and know objects. There's no beginning to consciousness, and there's no end to consciousness, because there's nothing that has the ability to cut the continuum of clarity and awareness. As samsaric beings caught in cyclic existence, we have ignorance covering the pure nature of our mind, and that ignorance has no beginning. Okay, nobody caused us to have ignorance. There wasn't a time when there was no ignorance and then somebody made us ignorant. That wouldn't be possible. Okay, however, even though there's no beginning to ignorance, there is an end, because ignorance is a wrong consciousness. It misapprehends things. It doesn't see things correctly. So because it's a wrong consciousness, when we generate the wisdom that sees things correctly, that wisdom has the ability to overpower the ignorance. Okay, so ignorance can have an end. Yeah, that's the good news. Okay, in Buddhist context, what is meant by all in one and one in all? Actually, I've never heard that expression in a Buddhist context, so I don't know that I can really comment on it. Each day I encounter many instances and people which, make me give rise to anger and irritation. Am I one of them? We can make anybody into an enemy, can't we? Yeah? When we have anger in our mind, we can make anybody into an enemy over the tiniest little thing. I am able to recognize the anger and irritation, which helps to reduce the intensity of the emotions. How should I deal with these emotions when they arise? And how do I do purification on the spot? Okay. So the real key to be able to deal with anger, for example, or any strong emotion, greed, jealousy, whatever, on the spot, is to have practiced the antidotes to it previously in your meditation. Okay? So it's by learning the different antidotes. For example, we've been learning the antidotes last night and today, all these different ways to think and to look at the situation. So if you go home and in your meditation you start reflecting on these antidotes, and especially you take out some of the situations that happened today or yesterday or whenever, 15 years ago, and you remember the situation, but instead of allowing your mind to spin off into the same old story, you stop and you start to look at that situation by way of the Dharma, just as Shantideva is encouraging us to do. Okay, and so you practice right then and there with the situation that happened to you in the past, but you practice thinking according to one or more of the antidotes that Shantideva taught us. Okay? And in that way you gain some familiarity with them. They make more sense to you. It becomes easier to remember them. So then, when you're in the situation, there's a better chance of remembering them. Or even you don't remember them right then and there, you will remember them very soon thereafter. Okay, so that's really, if you want to be able to control your emotions in a heated situation, the only way to do it is to practice in your meditation beforehand, repeatedly, not just once or twice, but repeatedly. Yeah. But if you do that, it starts to work. Okay. And how do I do purification on the spot? If you see yourself, getting angry or whatever, then just try and say, one thing I say to myself sometimes is this person worth destroying my merit? Yeah? Because if I get angry at them, I'm destroying my merit. So is this person who at that moment I don't think very much of, why should I destroy my merit for somebody I don't think very much of? Yeah, that doesn't make much sense. Okay, so I find that very helpful to think. Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Venerable, just now in verse 99, you mentioned that we really need people who disturb our happiness.
We need to what?
We really need people who disturb us.
Our happiness, yeah.
But to what extent should we sort of tolerate or endure the pain?
Okay, like, listen, I want to practice fortitude. I'm not very good at it. So just irritate me a little bit, okay? Yeah, can you do me a favor? Just a little bit. Don't do it too much. Yeah. Well, this is part of the process. We can't control the other person. Yeah? So we just have to take what we get and work with it the best we can. Huh?
So let's say you handle a situation in a good way that you think, and pride develops like, oh, I have patience now, so how do you deal with the pride that arises?
Oh, okay. Like that person was, usually I would get so mad at that person, or somebody who did that. But today, I actually controlled my temper. What a wonderful Dharma practitioner I am. I remember when I was a baby nun doing retreat, and I sometimes would sit in my retreat and think, oh, I bet my teacher is, has clairvoyant powers and is looking at me meditating and seeing what a wonderful Dharma student I am. I would have thoughts like that. And then I said, just thinking like that shows I'm not a wonderful Dharma student. Yeah, just thinking like that shows that I've fallen down. So as soon as you start to get proud, it's like, okay, I fell down, I went kerplunk. Nothing to be arrogant about here.
And one more question regarding the bad memory part.
Uh-huh.
So should we trust our memories?
Should we just forget our memories?
Should we trust
our memories?
Yeah.
In what way?
Like, yesterday was a very good day, and that day was a very bad day. This happened, that happened, but should we trust that it really happened, or is it just what we think that happened? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's more, should we trust our interpretation? not necessarily our memories, but our interpretation. What we have to, always check, is my interpretation of what's going on correct or not correct? Yeah. And, we can begin, as we practice Dharma more and we get to know our mind better, and we get to see the different distortions that appear in our mind and the habitual afflictions we have, then we become much better, much more able to assess, am I looking at something with eyes of wisdom or with eyes of affliction? Okay? So you start being able to assess that more in yourself. For sure, if we're sitting there and our mind is agitated, if there's agitation in our mind, if there's anger in our mind, if there's jealousy or upset, then for sure we're exaggerating something.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Hi, I just have a question. How do you learn to forgive somebody that is, for example, causing physical harm in a very real problem that we're facing right now with like suicide bombers and that kind of serious harms to the society?
Okay, so how do we help people or how do we forgive people who are causing very real physical harm to others? For example, the suicide bombers and so on. When I think about the mind of a suicide bomber, I think, how is that person thinking? Yeah? How does somebody think in order to think that being a suicide bomber is something good? Yeah? And it's very hard for me to understand, what is that person thinking that they believe that what they're doing is something virtuous? And then I think, wow, it's so difficult for me to understand how they might be thinking that, their mind must be completely twisted, very twisted, to think that killing other people, is virtuous, to think that they're going to go to heaven for killing other people, to think that, that it's good for, even if they're so ignorant that they want to kill themselves, yeah, then there's some very, very, very deep ignorance there, deep obscuration on that mind stream. And so that person is really somebody who's worthy of compassion, because their mind is so completely messed up that they're thinking like this. Yeah? So rather than hate them, to have compassion for them. Okay? Compassion does not mean you let somebody continue to do something that's harmful. You can have compassion for somebody and you intercede and you stop them. Yeah? But you can do that without hating them. Does that help? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hi, good evening, Venerable. I just want to ask, often in our lives, right, there are people who like to dictate what we do, be it a boss or an elder in a family. So how do we deal with these people with kindness, but at the same time we can avoid going according to their advice or whatsoever?
Okay, so there's people who we respect or don't respect. So there's people who we may respect sometimes or may not respect sometimes, but who are senior or elder, who may or may not know more than we do, but they're even if they're giving us good advice, we don't like being told what to do. Is that what you're talking about?
The advice might not be suitable for you, or they, or you think that they, or it may not be that wise. I don't know. Like, you do not agree with the advice.
Oh, okay. So the situation is they're giving you some advice and you don't think it's very useful advice. Yeah. So what do? You just nod and you listen and you say, thank you very much, and I'll consider that. Yeah? That's it. Yeah?
I have the mic.
Oh, who has the mic?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Hi, good evening, Venerable. So, I am the boss.
Yeah.
So I do not sugarcoat things, and sometimes I speak what's in my mind, and it's the best for the staff, and for the work. So I think I'm many people's enemy. How do I deal with that? How do I handle that?
So
Does it give me more merit?
So you're speaking straightforwardly. Yeah. And many people don't like to hear what you have to say.
Like that girl just behind. They may or may not like it.
Yeah. So some people may or may not like. This is part of the what you have to accept when you're in a leadership position. Whenever you're in a leadership position, some people will really appreciate you, and some people won't like you at all. And that's just part of the job. Yeah. So, yeah, it's impossible to please everybody. So I think that the thing is to be as fair as we can, to be as kind and compassionate as we can be, but to realize that there's no way that we can make people, like everything we say. Even if we don't mean to hurt them, some people will be hurt. Yeah? So our job is to watch our own intention and not want to hurt anybody. But if people get hurt or if they get angry, we can't be responsible for their emotions. We can talk with them about it afterwards and try and help them work it out. And if they need more explanation about why we said or did what we did, we can give that. But there's no way to make it so that everybody's going to like us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The second last question
Uh-huh.
asked by that lady, if I can just pick up on that to seek clarification.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody gives advice which is not wise or suitable.
Mm-hmm.
You nod and say, okay, thank you very much, I will consider it. However, this person is extremely unwise and ignorant, and she continues she doesn't take no for an answer, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then you just have to, cut the conversation short.
it's the mother.
Who else would it be?
And
The only other person it could be is your father.
so I try, I really try, but I get angry. I mean, and that's part when it's affecting myself. I just go crazy because, for example, I cannot wear high heel shoes because I'm flat-footed.
Mm-hmm.
She said, please wear high heel shoes. You need to wear high heel shoes. And I explained to her, but it's like she doesn't hear it. She keeps going at that for years and years. And that's just one. The other one, it's in regard to me. However, I also observe her doing the same to the people around her.
I don't stay together with her, but I see it's out of good intentions, but it comes out in such a way that it causes a lot of suffering to people around her.
Yeah. And it would sure be nice to be able to change her, wouldn't it?
No, she cannot be changed. Her siblings tried when she was younger, but she's impervious to suggestions.
Yeah, then what alternative do you have?
So I ask you humbly, how can I have greater acceptance and patience? I know it's, and also I think the one which I struggle a little bit with is anger at the suffering it causes to the people around her. I feel helpless to see these people suffering. So do I just attribute it to is their karmic debt and try to accept it?
You know, there's a beautiful, I forget what verse, it's in this chapter somewhere, where Shantideva says, if something can be changed, there's no reason to get angry because you can change it. If something cannot be changed, there's no reason to get angry because you can't change it. And, you know, let me tell you, my mom was the same way. Yeah? And you just, I just kind of, what I learned to do is I stopped biting the hook. You know? Because we have a choice whether to bite the hook or not bite the hook. And I just, instead of being upset because she threw out the bait towards me, I started, instead of focusing on that, I started focusing on what I'm doing. And I must not bite that hook. And that helped a lot. And sometimes I made a joke about it. Yeah? Like, so if your mom is, bugging you about wearing high heels, you would say, Mom, I'm flat-footed, like Donald Duck. And you have a flat-footed daughter who can't wear high heels, you know? What can we do about it? You can't put high heels on Donald Duck, you know? And you make a joke about it. Uh-huh. Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay, if we have faced a difficult people who makes us angry or uncooperative, we are supposed to practice fortitude. But if every day you get that because they get angry for because of something else happened to them, like for example, my boss gets scolded by the boss, so they come to meeting, they're angry, then they get angry with things because they feel as if they need to push us faster, or they get angry because my staff did something they didn't like.
They're really obnoxious, aren't they?
Yeah, and my staff get angry.
Yeah, and they get angry for totally no good reason. At least they could do is get angry for a good reason. Yeah.
Spreading the unhappiness around.
Yeah, I mean, they're the cause of all the unhappiness in the office, in the whole city, in the whole country. I mean, they're such idiots. And you know what? Every single boss is like that. I come to Singapore, all I hear about is people complaining about their bosses. And I teach compassion. And you know, it's like compassion, especially compassion for your bosses. Yeah, try being a boss someday. Seriously, you know? I mean, I'm in a leadership position where I am. Sometimes it is not fun at all. Yeah, because you have to be the sponge for everybody's negativity. And nobody has compassion for you, and everybody blames you for everything. Yeah, it's really tough being a boss. So I think you need to practice compassion for your bosses. yes, but you don't understand. They're making the whole office miserable by what they're doing. And they don't understand us, and they're impeding our functioning and getting the work done. You know, so that's why our team is always falling behind. It's because our boss doesn't support us and does all these nasty things, right?
My question is more like, I can practice compassion and fortitude, but every day if I keep doing that, I feel it's very draining.
Okay,
So
then
how do I recharge?
how about getting another job? Yeah, if you really don't like that job, why stay there?
I like the work, I like the work, but not the people.
Yeah, well, maybe try and find another place where you can do the same work but with different people. Yeah, but if you go somewhere else and you find that you're having problems there too, yeah, then you might consider, kind of training the mind in fortitude. No?
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Sorry, I have a question following up with the previous questions that I asked about. Hi, I'm right.
Yeah.
So then, in Buddha's teaching, then do we really believe that there is really no evil in the world? Because, for example, if we talked about people are hurting and killing other people because of their ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
do we really believe, or in the Buddha's teaching, do we really think that there's no good versus evil? Or just for people in general, there's no pure of evilness. People are just ignorant for the actions that they do.
So what is your definition of evil?
For example, like Hitler. For example, people who killing other people.
Mhm.
For example, child abuse, molestation,
Yeah.
raping, or any of that
Yeah.
issues.
Do you think that one person, because they do a negative action, becomes evil and hopeless and irredeemable through and through? Yeah. What do you think? If a person does one despicable action, does that mean the person themselves is evil and can never do anything good at all? Yeah, think about it. From a Buddhist viewpoint, we say everybody has the Buddha nature. Everyone has the potential to become a fully awakened one. The nature, the fundamental nature of everybody's mind is something pure and untainted. Yeah. And so we try and separate out the person and the action. Okay? People and the actions they do are different. Yeah. If you think of the worst thing you ever did in your whole life, would you want to be judged by everybody based on that one action you did? I wouldn't want to be judged on the basis of the worst thing I did in my life. Yeah, because I know that I'm not that action. And I know that I've also done some things that are worthwhile and good. So in the same way, if you point to Mao or Stalin or Hitler or whoever, you know, they still have the fundamental purity of mind. And, you know, they aren't their evil. They aren't their bad actions. They can change. Because the thing with saying that people are evil is that we just put somebody in a category and then we throw them away. Yeah. Oh, this person's evil. Forget them. Wipe them off the earth. I don't need to consider them. You know? So all I need to do is call somebody an awful name and then I put them in a category and they cease to be human beings with feelings, with the Buddha nature. And so we're missing out on something then. There's one more question here and then we'll stop. So I'm struggling to cope with addiction to the internet, such as porn. Despite efforts to stop it, it does not last long. I feel guilty and helpless. It's an enemy, but I'm constantly being defeated by it. How should I approach this enemy? When we have strong attachment for something and we get really uncontrolled by our attachment, then the thing is to not go anywhere near anything, not go anywhere near the object that we're attached to. Yeah. So in this case, I would say, on every single device you have, put on the child controls, that have somebody else do it for you, so you don't know what the password is, and you can't get into it. But have somebody put all the child controls on all your computers and phones and everything like that, so that you can't use them to do this. Yeah, and then I think also check around, because I know in the States they're starting to have courses for people who are addicted to the internet. It's a very serious problem, and I heard in Korea that there's they definitely have courses about this. So check around. There might be some course to take. Yeah, but it's good. Just you can also maybe throw away all your devices. But you can live, you can live without all that stuff. Okay, so let's have a couple of minutes silent meditation, and then we'll dedicate the merit. So again, remember what we talked about so that you can take it home with you and contemplate it some more and use it in your life. And then let's dedicate the merit.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore.